Another gold digger trying to climb the social ladder, Victor Hamilton's voice carried across the elegantly decorated ballroom of his mansion. I kept my face carefully neutral as I watched my future father-in-law whisper to his country club friends, not even trying to be discreet. She's probably calculated exactly how much of our fortune she can get her hands on. My name is Catherine Chen, and at 30 I was celebrating my engagement to James Hamilton, heir to Hamilton Industries. What Victor didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd spent the last 4 years as a forensic accountant, specializing in exposing corporate fraud, and Hamilton Industries had been on my radar long before I met James. Just ignore him, Cat. James squeezed my hand under the table. He's had too much scotch, but I could see the embarrassment in his eyes. The way he avoided looking at his father. Victor Hamilton stood at the center of the room, commanding attention in his custom-made suit. A toast, he announced, raising his crystal glass, to my son James, who clearly thinks with his heart instead of his head. Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. Let's hope this engagement doesn't cost our family too dearly. I felt James tense beside me, but I placed a calming hand on his arm. It's okay, I whispered. Let him talk. The party continued, a parade of fake smiles and backhanded compliments. Victor's wife, Margaret, kept shooting me apologetic looks from across the room, but she wouldn't dare contradict her husband publicly. The Hamilton name meant everything in our city, their influence stretching from real estate to politics. Did you see her dress? I overheard one of Victor's friends whisper. Must have cost a month's salary for someone like her. What they didn't know was that I'd bought this dress with my own money. Money I'd earned exposing people exactly like Victor Hamilton. The irony wasn't lost on me. Later that evening, as guests began to leave, Victor cornered me in the library. James had stepped away to say goodbye to some friends, leaving me momentarily alone. Let's cut to the chase, Victor said, swirling his scotch. What's your price? I raised an eyebrow. Excuse me, to walk away. Name your figure. He pulled out his checkbook. The leather cover emblazoned with the Hamilton logo. Everyone has a price. Sweetheart, what's yours? I smiled, the same calm smile I'd worn all evening. You're right, Mr. Hamilton. Everyone does have a price. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. But have you ever wondered about yours? He laughed, a sharp dismissive sound. Is that a threat from a nobody like you? Not a threat, I said, maintaining eye contact. Just an observation. Your accountant, Mr. Sullivan, seems like a very thorough man. Victor's hand tightened around his glass. What do you know about Sullivan? Only what the numbers tell me. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Mr. Hamilton, that offshore account in the Caymans. You might want to check those transfer dates again. The color drained from his face as I walked away, my heels clicking against the hardwood floors. I found James talking to his mother in the foyer. Everything okay? He asked, noticing my expression. Perfect, I replied, kissing his cheek. Your father and I were just getting to know each other better. That night, as James drove us home, he apologized again for his father's behavior. He's just protective of the family, he said weakly. Once he gets to know you, James. I interrupted gently. There's something I need to tell you about my work. Your accounting firm. What about it? I took a deep breath. 3 years ago, I noticed some irregularities in Hamilton Industries' financial reports. Discrepancies that didn't add up. James gripped the steering wheel tighter. What kind of discrepancies? The kind that usually indicate systematic fraud. Missing millions, falsified records, offshore accounts. He pulled the car over, turning to face me. Are you saying my father is embezzling from his own company? Yes, I pulled out my phone, showing him the files I'd been gathering. I've been tracking it for years. That's why I took the job at Sullivan and Associates 7 months ago. I needed access to the complete records. James stared at the numbers, his face pale. All this time you knew. I was building a case, but then I met you, and everything changed. I touched his hand. I fell in love with you, James. That wasn't part of the plan. He was quiet for a long moment. Does my father know you know? He will soon. Sullivan's been helping me document everything. We're presenting the evidence to the board next week. James leaned back in his seat, running a hand through his hair. The gold digger comments. The accusations, and all this time, your father's been stealing from his own company, his employees, his shareholders. I squeezed his hand. I know this is a lot to process. If you want to call off the engagement. No, he said firmly. Surprising me, my father's always been like this, controlling, manipulative, thinking he's untouchable. Maybe it's time someone finally held him accountable. As we drove home in silence, my phone buzzed with a text from Sullivan. Transfer records confirmed. Meeting moved to Monday. EH won't know what hit him. I smiled, thinking of Victor's smug face at the party. He thought I was just another gold digger after his fortune. He had no idea I was actually after something much more valuable, justice. The truth was about to come out, and Victor Hamilton's carefully constructed world was about to crumble. Sometimes the best revenge isn't taking someone's money, it's exposing who they really are. Monday morning arrived with a storm, both literally and figuratively. Thunder rolled across the city as I walked into Hamilton Industries headquarters. My evidence folder tucked securely under my arm. James had barely slept the night before, tossing and turning as the weight of what was about to happen pressed down on us both. Miss Chen, Sullivan greeted me in the lobby, his usual calm demeanor firmly in place. Everything's prepared for the board meeting at 11. I nodded, following him to his office. How's Victor this morning? Agitated. He's been trying to access the offshore accounts since dawn. Sullivan's lips twitched. Seems they're mysteriously frozen. We'd spent the weekend securing everything, making sure Victor couldn't move or hide any more assets. The trap was set, and the self-proclaimed king of Hamilton Industries was about to walk right into it. Catherine. A sharp voice cut through our conversation. Victor Hamilton stood in the doorway. His expensive suit couldn't hide the tension in his shoulders. I didn't expect to see you here. Shouldn't you be planning your wedding, actually? Sir, Sullivan interjected smoothly. Miss Chen is here for the board meeting, as our lead forensic accountant. Her presence is required. Victor's face darkened. Lead forensic. Since when? 7 months now, I replied, enjoying the way his composure slipped. Mr. Sullivan recruited me personally. Before Victor could respond, his secretary appeared. Sir, the board members are gathering in the conference room. We should head up, Sullivan said, gathering his files. Wouldn't want to keep them waiting. The conference room on the top floor offered a panoramic view of the city, but nobody was admiring the scenery. 12 board members sat around the massive table, their expressions ranging from curious to concerned. James sat quietly in his chair as vice president, his face unreadable. What's this about, Sullivan? Victor demanded as he took his seat at the head of the table. I wasn't aware of any major issues requiring a full board meeting. Oh, but there are issues, Mr. Hamilton, I said, standing to address the room. Significant ones. Victor's face reddened. You have no authority to speak here? This is ridiculous, actually, one of the board members, Mrs. Henderson, interrupted, as the forensic accountant who uncovered these discrepancies. Ms. Chen has every right to present her findings. I began distributing copies of my report. Over the past 5 years, approximately $47 million has been systematically diverted from Hamilton Industries through a complex network of offshore accounts. The room erupted in murmurs. Victor's knuckles turned white as he gripped his armrest. These transactions, I continued, pulling up detailed charts on the screen, were carefully disguised as legitimate business expenses. However, when you follow the money trail, I clicked through a series of transfers, each one leading back to private accounts in Victor's name. This is absurd. Victor stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. You can't possibly believe the accusations of this gold digger. That's why we brought in external auditors to verify everything, Sullivan added calmly. Their findings corroborate Miss Chen's investigation completely. For the next hour I laid out the evidence piece by piece, the fake vendors, the inflated contracts, the hidden accounts, all of it meticulously documented. With each revelation, Victor's face grew paler. James, he finally said, turning to his son. You can't be part of this. This woman is trying to destroy our family. James met his father's desperate gaze. No, Dad, you did that yourself. There's more, I announced, pulling out one final document. Mr. Hamilton hasn't just been stealing from the company. He's been systematically underfunding the employee pension plan, diverting those funds for personal use. The board members' shock turned to anger. Pension fraud wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. You little witch, Victor snarled, taking a step toward me. You planned this from the beginning, didn't you? Getting close to James, making him turn against his own father. Actually, James stood up, moving to stand beside me. Catherine tried to step back when we started dating. She was going to hand the investigation over to someone else. I convinced her to stay on it. Victor's face contorted in disbelief. My own son, a traitor? No, Dad. I'm just finally seeing clearly. The way you've always treated people like they're beneath you. Like rules don't apply to you. It ends now. Mrs. Henderson cleared her throat. I believe we've seen enough. Security is waiting outside, and the authorities have been notified. Mr. Hamilton, I suggest you go quietly. As if on cue, 3 security guards entered the room. Victor looked around wildly, searching for allies, but found none. The Empire he'd built on lies was crumbling around him. This isn't over. He spat as the guards approached. You'll regret this, Catherine, both of you will. We watched in silence as Victor Hamilton, the man who'd called me a gold digger at his son's engagement party, was escorted from his own building. The board moved quickly, appointing James as interim CEO and initiating emergency protocols to protect the company's assets. As the room cleared out, James and I remained, looking out over the city, where everything had changed. You okay? I asked softly, taking his hand. He squeezed my fingers. It's strange, I always knew, somewhere deep down, that he wasn't the man he pretended to be. I just never had the courage to face it. You did today, I reminded him. That took real strength. Sullivan knocked gently on the door. The press will be here soon. We should prepare a statement. James nodded, straightening his tie. They'll want to know how we discovered the fraud. Actually, Sullivan smiled. They might be more interested in how your father's accusations of gold digging led to his own downfall. Quite ironic, really. As we left the conference room, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window. I didn't see a gold digger or a nobody. I saw someone who'd stood up to power and corruption, someone who'd chosen truth over comfort. My phone buzzed with a message from Margaret. Victor's wife. I always knew you were more than he thought. Thank you for being brave enough to prove it. The storm outside had cleared, leaving behind a freshly washed city ready for change. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting honest. The weeks following Victor's arrest were a whirlwind of legal proceedings, press conferences, and company restructuring. Hamilton Industries stock initially took a hit, but James's transparent handling of the crisis helped stabilize things faster than anyone expected. I was in my office reviewing the final audit reports when Margaret Hamilton requested to see me. She looked different now, less polished, more real somehow. I'm selling the mansion, she announced, without preamble, settling into the chair across from my desk. It's too big, too empty, and frankly too full of Victor's lies. Are you okay? I asked, genuinely concerned. She smiled, a true smile that reached her eyes. I'm better than I've been in 28 years. Victor's attorney offered a plea deal this morning. He's looking at 14 years minimum. The news had spread quickly through the corporate grapevine. Victor Hamilton, once the untouchable titan of industry, had fallen spectacularly from grace. His country club friends now pretended they'd never known him, and those who'd laughed at his gold digger jokes were conspicuously silent. The pension funds are being restored, I told her. Every employee will get what they're owed plus interest, because of you. Margaret reached across the desk and squeezed my hand. You know, the night of your engagement party, I wanted to apologize for Victor's behavior, but I was too cowardly, too used to staying quiet. You don't need to apologize. Yes, I do. Not just for that night, but for every time I saw him mistreat someone and said nothing. The real gold digger was Victor, taking what wasn't his, using people, thinking he was entitled to everything. Our conversation was interrupted by James arriving with lunch. He'd made it a habit to eat with me whenever possible, working to rebuild the company's culture from the ground up. Mom, he smiled, kissing Margaret's cheek. Didn't expect to see you here. Just having a long overdue chat with my future daughter-in-law. She stood up, straightening her jacket. Oh, and I'm donating half of my divorce settlement to start a corporate accountability foundation. I'd like you both on the board. After she left, James and I sat in comfortable silence, sharing the lunch he'd brought. The office had a different energy now, lighter, more honest. The board approved the new compliance protocols, he said between bites, and they want to make your position permanent, head of corporate ethics and accountability. I raised an eyebrow. Won't that raise questions about nepotism? They said, and I quote, anyone who can take down Victor Hamilton while planning a wedding deserves whatever title she wants. We laughed, something we'd been doing more easily lately. The weight of secrets and lies had lifted, leaving room for real joy. Speaking of the wedding, I said, I think we should change the venue. James nodded. Not the country club. I was thinking somewhere more meaningful, the community center downtown. We could make it a celebration of new beginnings. Invite the employees and their families. His face lit up. Dad would hate that. Exactly. The headlines had finally started to fade, replaced by stories of Hamilton Industries' transformation. James had implemented profit sharing for employees, expanded benefits, and created a whistleblower protection program. The company was becoming what it should have been all along. One evening, as we walked through the office after most people had left, we passed the wall where Victor's portrait used to hang. In its place was a simple mission statement: integrity first. You know what's funny? James said, stopping to look at it. Dad always said love made people weak. That business was about being tough and taking what you want, and now I know that real strength is about doing what's right, Even when it's hard, you taught me that. We were interrupted by Sullivan, carrying a stack of files, final numbers. From the audit, he announced, every cent accounted for, every transaction traced, it's really over. I thought about Victor sitting in his cell, probably still believing he was somehow the victim. He'd never understand that his own arrogance, his quick judgment of me as just another gold digger, had been his undoing. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The man who'd accused me of being after his money had been the one stealing all along. Ready to go home, James asked, taking my hand. Home wasn't the mansion anymore. We bought a modest house closer to downtown, somewhere we could build our own legacy, free from the shadows of the past. Actually, I smiled, I have one more thing to do. I sat down at my desk and began typing. To the board of directors. Proposal for annual ethics training program. By Catherine Chen. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even or proving people wrong. Sometimes it's about building something better from the ashes of what was broken. Victor had called me a gold digger, but I'd found something far more valuable than money. I'd found the truth, and the courage to tell it. The end.